Mom left me when I was 7. She showed up at my dad's funeral 20 years later, only to claim half of the inheritance to raise her kids. You don't need that money. You're alone. Nobody cares about you. We met in court, and the judge asked, "My name is Alex, and I'm 29. 4 days ago, my father collapsed during his morning run. Massive stroke. Dead before the ambulance arrived. The man who raised me alone was just gone. The funeral was packed. Dad had been a high school principal for 22 years. I watched former students file past his casket, each with a story about how Mr. Chen changed their life. I was accepting condolences when I heard a voice I hadn't heard in 2 decades. Alex. My mother stood there, flanked by a man and 4 children, all dressed in black like they belonged. What are you doing here? I heard about your father. I'm so sorry. How did you even find out? Facebook. One of your cousins posted. These are your brothers and sisters, she said, gesturing to the kids. Daniel, Maya, Sophie, and Jordan. I don't care, I said quietly. You need to leave. I was 7 when she left. Dad went to a conference one Saturday. Mom waited 15 minutes after his car disappeared, then came into my room with a suitcase. Mommy has to go away for a while. Stay here. Daddy will be home tonight. She kissed my forehead and drove off. Dad came home at 9 p.m. to find me sitting in the dark, too scared to turn on lights, too scared to do anything. He found her note on the counter. I watched his face crumble. The divorce was quick. She didn't show up to court, didn't ask for custody, didn't ask for anything. She'd been having an affair with a coworker. They moved to Oregon for 20 years. Nothing. Not a card, not a call, nothing. 3 days after the funeral, my doorbell rang. It was her, alone. I let her in. She sat on my couch. I know your father left you everything. That's a lot of money for one person. What's your point? You're single. No kids. You have more than you need. Meanwhile, I'm raising 4 children on a teacher's salary. Daniel wants college. Maya needs braces. Sophie has asthma. Stop. You abandoned me, I said. You left a 7-year-old alone for 12 hours. You never called, never wrote, not once in 20 years. And now you want my father's money? I was young. I made a mistake, but those kids didn't do anything wrong. They're your kids, with the man you left us for. You're being selfish. Get out of my house. She left, but not before saying, "You'll regret this." 2 weeks later, I got served with a lawsuit. My mother was suing me for half of Dad's estate. Her lawyers claimed she was entitled to it as his ex-wife and my parent. The trial happened fast. Her lawyer painted a picture of a struggling mother trying to raise 4 kids while her wealthy daughter hoarded money. My lawyer brought receipts, phone records, bank records, the divorce decree showing she'd abandoned all parental rights. The judge asked her directly, "Mrs. Patterson, why are you seeking financial support from a daughter you haven't contacted in 20 years? Because she doesn't need all that money. She's alone. She has no one depending on her. My children need—" Your children are not this court's concern. What is my concern is whether you have any legal standing to claim assets from a man you divorced 20 years ago and whose daughter you abandoned. I didn't abandon. You left a 7-year-old alone in a house for 12 hours. You refused custody. You never paid support. The judge's voice was ice. That is the textbook definition of abandonment. Mom's face flushed. She doesn't need the money. She's selfish and cold, just like her father was. Mrs. Patterson, you will not disparage the deceased in my courtroom. And she's punishing my innocent children because she can't let go. Your children are not entitled to another person's inheritance, regardless of DNA. Judge Martinez looked at her with disgust. This lawsuit is frivolous, exploitative, and frankly, morally repugnant. Case dismissed. All court costs awarded to the defendant. Mom stood up, shaking. This isn't over. Yes, Mrs. Patterson, it is. It wasn't. She started calling, dozens of times a day from different numbers. When I blocked them, she started showing up everywhere. My gym, my work, my coffee shop. The final straw came when she showed up at my apartment at 11 p.m., pounding on the door and screaming that I was destroying her family. Security called the cops. I filed for a restraining order. Judge Martinez signed it immediately. Mrs. Patterson, you will stay 500 yards from Ms. Chen at all times. Violation means jail time. Mom just stared at me with pure hatred. That was 4 months ago. I haven't heard from her since. People ask if I feel guilty about those kids. I don't. Dad worked 2 jobs after she left. He built a life from the ashes of what she destroyed. I'm not giving it to the woman who threw me away.